These two games on screen here, you would think have nothing in common. One game has just been released, it is the newest edition of FNAF, and the other is one of the older games, one of the originals. Two very different games, however very similar in one key aspect, and that all relies on the main antagonist of the old FNAF and the new FNAF. So without further ado, let's get into it. FNAF 3, alright, it's a game that has only one animatronic, being Springtrap. Springtrap is very much the core focus of FNAF 3. He controls the whole game. He is the only threat in FNAF 3 that can actually jump scare you. Going from room to room, he will eventually stalk you down, using the cameras as a way to kind of trick the player into thinking he's going to move to one place and then move to the other. All in all, it's pretty terrifying. Seeing this massive animatronic, which seems to have something inside of it, stalk us down throughout the whole game, that is pretty interesting. And this formula is very much highly credited in the community. I mean, having one animatronic being the core focus, and not only that, being the only thing that can actually jump scare you and give you a game over, is a very interesting idea. Because before FNAF 3 or the other FNAF games, there was many threats that could jump scare us. So every jump scare felt that there wasn't really a main person that was trying to stalk us. Just there was random animatronics here and there. I mean, there's nothing wrong in having multiple animatronics do the stalking and the jump scaring, but I also felt that having one animatronic being the main bad guy did make things a lot more personal in the context of the game, being a kind of a standoff between father and son, if we're going off the lore. But as a player, it comes off as it's game versus us. One thing versus us. And for nearly 10 years, we haven't seen anything like this in any FNAF game. FNAF 3 introduced this idea, but it had never have been reused since that game. That was until, well, the release of Secret of the Mimic. Now, before you go into the comments and start saying, isn't there like 50 animatronics in Secret of the Mimic? Yes, technically, there's a lot of different costumes and suits in this game, but there's one thing the game keeps a little bit of a secret to the player, but also it's kind of alluded to very much so. And I personally hadn't found this out until, well, I replayed the game and I actually this time listened to the dialogue. My first playthrough, I wasn't really engaging with the dialogue too much. I was listening, but I was more focused on exploring and doing some of the FNAF stuff, if you will. But after replaying the game and hearing the sound system, he only mentions one animatronic in the game. He doesn't say that there's multiple threats, he says that there's one threat, the Mimic.
So let's talk about what you're there to find. Obviously, this possibly murderous endoskeleton has encountered some unfortunate glitches.
And as I was playing, I thought that every animatronic was like security breach. They were possessed by, I guess, something controlling them, and I honestly wasn't sure what the Mimic even was until the end of the game. However, the Mimic is actually present throughout the whole game. That's right. From the beginning of the game, the Mimic is literally already there, because every single suit, every single animatronic in Secret of the Mimic is being controlled by the Mimic. I know it sounds pretty simple, but I literally didn't even notice myself until, again, replaying the game. And you can't really tell, but they're only mascots. They're not actually endoskeletons in these animatronics. So again, it does make sense that the Mimic is controlling them, but also this means that every single suit we see is being controlled by the Mimic. It literally is present throughout the whole game. Now, there's a few questions. First of all, and this is my biggest question because I personally don't even know how this even can work, but Big Top, right? The massive Music Man like animatronic, who is controlling this? Is it the Mimic? And how is the Mimic controlling this massive animatronic? Well, honestly, I have no idea how this is even possible. Maybe it's like hacking its, I guess, control circuits or something, but it doesn't really make much sense. And if I'm going to guess, maybe this is the only actual animatronic in the game that's working and not being controlled by the Mimic. But again, I have no idea, to be honest. And another question is Tiger Rock. Who is controlling Tiger Rock? Is it the Mimic? I don't honestly think it's the Mimic, because this animatronic, or I should say entity, is a little different from the rest. It teleports. It literally can move from one spot to the other. So I would consider this thing a supernatural threat, and there's many theories out there, but I'm going to assume the Mimic isn't controlling Tiger Rock because, I mean, it can literally teleport, and last time I checked, an animatronic cannot teleport yet. Some other proof that the animatronics are being controlled by the Mimic is, first of all, I mean, this is pretty obvious. In the Jackie chase, you can actually see the Mimic's eyes behind the animatronic costume. I know, it's pretty simple. It looks like the Mimic is controlling it, but personally, I hadn't even known that was the Mimic until another playthrough later. So, I mean, maybe it isn't so simple. And the other way that we know this is happening is during the Dolly boss fight. Near the end, when we're in the elevator and trying to get rid of Dolly, we end up figuring out how to fix the elevator, and it ends up squishing Dolly and causing it to, well, no longer exist. Just before this happens, there's a secret animation that you can't actually see unless you use a, camera. And by using the camera, we can see that the Mimic literally jumps out of Dolly's costume and jumps into a vent just before it crashes and destroys the animatronic. I found this absolutely insane because I wasn't even sure what I was looking at when I first saw this. But yeah, it's literally the Mimic getting out of the costume and jumping out of this area. This is the first and only time I believe we actually see the Mimic doing this, so to be honest, it would make sense for most people to not actually know that the Mimic is controlling every single animatronic inside of Secret of the Mimic. And something that this game does is it makes it so you don't know what animatronic is going to be the Mimic. So as you go through areas of the game with many mascots, any of these mascots or animatronics could literally be the Mimic, which is in my opinion one of Secret of the Mimic's best features. Just not knowing when an animatronic is going to attack is really good at keeping the game tenseful and keeping the player always on their toes. So to keep it short, how FNAF 3 and Secret of the Mimic are related is primarily on the one central animatronic being the main focus of each respected game. There's a difference between both games. For one, Secret of the Mimic is different, is that you won't actually know where the animatronic is. It can literally be anywhere. Any mascot you see could be the Mimic in disguise. It's even said in the beginning of the game that, watch out, anything you see could be the entity. So even from the beginning of the game, you're already on edge because you don't know when or how the entity will attack. You just know that it can literally be any animatronic. And I've had times where I've thought an animatronic or mascot would never activate, but it did. And this has happened to me in spots that I would never have thought the animatronic would activate. So yeah, it's safe to say that this game and FNAF 3 are very similar in respected areas, but have differences in other areas which are more focused on their games that they're trying to be. But with that, that's about it for this video. On screen here is a video where I go through one massive change that fixed modern day FNAF. So if you haven't checked that out already and you want to do so, I'll see you guys there. If you enjoyed the video, smash a like, and if you are brand new here and never want to miss out on a future upload, then please consider subscribing as well. But anyways, until next time, take it easy and goodbye.